In a world teeming with supernatural claims, from aliens and ghosts to cryptids, religions, and other unexplained phenomena, enter Captive Desk, that offers a skeptic's perspective. Join us for engaging discussions, opinions, scientific analysis, and a dash of humor as we delve into the unknown, unravel the mysterious, and confront the otherworldly as we seek to distinguish fact from fiction at the Captive Desk. Greetings, welcome to the Captive Desk. I thought I'd play my new intro I just made up there instead of the timer there. So yeah, I hope everybody's checking out my new intro. Leave me some comments. I had a lot of help. Joe helped me out. Deconverted Man helped me out. I got a lot of help from everybody. I appreciate all the help. We tweaked it and they helped me with how it sounded and everything. And I think we got it pretty good. So
yeah, I think it's good. I like it.
I kind of like it. And,
yeah.
Did it mostly myself with a little help from my friends.
Yeah. I completely depended on another person to make my intros.
And
they're better for it.
and everybody welcome Joe from the Kentucky Atheist, by the way. You can find Joe at the Kentucky Atheist, and he's got a big channel, big plans, just all kind of things going on over there. Make sure you go and check it out,
dude.
Oh, it's blowing up big. He's had a lot of big guests on over there.
We're going to do call-ins Monday. We're going to see how that goes.
I was going to say, you got the new call-in thing he's going to try. So yeah, everybody check it out and support him over there. Okay.
Thanks.
And Joe and I, we do stuff back and forth on each other's channels. We have a lot of fun, and I wanted to take a look at this video. I was planning on doing it, but some other things came up and it kind of got pushed aside a little bit. But I was telling Joe, this guy was trying to engage with him, and he was kind of snotty and stuff, and so I kind of was putting it on the back burner, but then I figured, I'm going to take care of this because he wasn't very nice to me, and I was trying to be cool, right? So
I love creationist idiots. It's one of those, what do you call it? A dirty oh shit, what's it called? When you like something that you should hate.
It's like looking at the train wreck.
I just get such a kick out of the stupid things they say with such confidence, and it's like, I don't know, it makes me smile.
I see. Hey, Mike and Al and Ray and
guilty pleasure. That's it. Guilty pleasure.
Oh, and of course, yeah, and Kentucky Atheist comment in there. Yeah, we got crabs. We got problems with crabs here. Even though a horseshoe crab is not really a crab, it's kind of a distant relative of a crab. It's more of a bug. And,
yeah, a sea bug.
A big sea.
What
bug.
Are they called? Horseshoe crabs are. I can't think of the what the clade's called.
They're distantly related in arachnids, but Bree told me there's something in between the cenophods or like a C word, I think it was.
It is.
So yeah, it's a big bug looking thing, right? But
they're marine arthropods.
Arthropods, yeah.
Yeah, but you're all right.
Yeah, cephalopod. Al saying cephalopod. It was something. Yeah, Bree knows. Yeah, it's slipping my mind right now, but I mean, yeah, Bree told me what it was. But yeah, they are related to more to bugs than they are to crabs. So even though the crabs are out on another branch and whatever and stuff. So, but anyway, so I came across this video, and since then, a couple other people have addressed it and stuff, and I wanted to join in on the fun. So this channel is hosted by Ryan, and he's a disciple of the Hawaiian shirt creationist. He was a lot of the stuff he repeats is just they can't understand what atheists are or what evolution is, right? And I think they do it intentionally, but what a surprise. Okay.
I mean, at some point it has to be intentional. And cephalopod was the right word I was looking for, by the way. Again, I don't know. I have that problem a lot more lately. I'm getting ready to say something, the words don't come out. But
we get the community of minds going, and we get it together,
No, I agree. I depend on my chat and my friends here in the space more than anything. That's what it's all about.
So as a young Earth creationist, of course, Ryan thinks he has evolution all debunked because he doesn't seem to understand science and not even the terminology. Even when I asked him, do you know what these are? And his response was not.
It's just a theory, Dave. It's just a theory.
So we're good. I got it. I got the video ready here, and so we're going to take a look at it, take a listen.
I haven't watched this, by the way, so this could be interesting for me.
And we're gonna make a few comments, and we're gonna give the information along the way here. I looked all of my stuff up. I double checked and try to get my facts straight and everything. So we're gonna do.
Dave's going to give us informed commentary, and I'm going to be a smartass. So that's how this is going to go.
All right, that works for me. All right, so we'll pull this up here and we'll take a listen.
By the way, hey,
welcome.
Al, hey, Mike.
Yeah, hey, everybody out there. All right, yeah, this is Ryan. We're going to take a listen to Ryan.
All right.
Back to the You're in a Religion and You Don't Even Know It podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and today I am issuing a put up or shut up challenge. All of you super smart, evolution-believing atheists.
I don't understand evolution, and I have to protect my kids from understanding it. We will not give in to the thinkers.
You people are as loud as you are ignorant. Now get back on your turnip trucks and go home.
Who tell me over and over again.
Well, first of all, if you didn't notice in his very beginning there, he's already putting the argument out there that atheists are in a religion too. And if you believe in, evolution, if you accept the consensus of the experts, you're in a religion too. It's the I'm rubber and you're glue defense that a lot of the creationists use that didn't have any good answer to when people say, well, you just have a religion, right? You believe in your religion. This is science. So I've noticed over the recent years, they've kind of turned it around to say, well, you just have a religion too, right? So, yeah. It's,
all right, let's hold on. Let's be clear here. The definition of religion is a particular system of faith or worship, and belief in a worship or obedience to supernatural power or powers considered to be divine or have control over human destiny. I don't know where me saying your God is fake fits into that, but okay.
And not even that argument. Most of the people around the globe have a religion. Okay.
I've thought about this, Dave.
And the majority of all the religions, even Islam, it's a slight percentage, accept well-established science. So saying that religion is a bad argument too. There's plenty of religious scientists.
Here's what I've thought about this a lot because I get told that I'm in a religion and see people like Kent Hovind and this guy and others that say this all the time. And I've thought about this, and I think the reason they do this is because where they have doctrine and dogma, we refer to scientific sources, but we work together and do it. And I think many of them don't understand what a religion actually is, because they're brainwashed into, they define their own God and believe that. So,
and I try to give, I try to give people benefit of the doubt, because there are folks that were raised in certain environments, had this stuff pounded in their heads and everything.
No,
but
indoctrination
he
is
seems,
definitely.
he seems to be at the point where he's looking things up, but he's not reading. You'll see it'll come up. He's not even reading what he's looking up. You know what I mean?
That's false, Lupin. That's
So we got, I mean, you got to at least try to read, all of what you're looking at, and not just, it's cherry picking, and it's not being honest. I think he's intentionally being dishonest, and he finds it very amusing. So he really thinks he's got a gotcha here. Now, this, you'll see here. We'll let him say it for himself.
Listen, I just because I hate Lupin and he's a piece of shit, I'm going to point out that according to a poll, the number of scientists that are religious is 51%. So you're right; it's a majority by 1%.
But it's a weak argument, though. There's plenty of religious.
It's also a poll, and it doesn't speak to whether it's true.
Just because you're religious or not doesn't mean that you can't repeat an experiment in a lab. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you're right, Lupin. I said it. You're right.
Most of your big apologists will agree that, yes, you can do things and repeat them in a lab, and they'll agree with it. So it's a very weak argument. So.
Yeah.
Again, the evolution totally happens at the macro level, but it takes millions and millions of years. So there's no way that we humans could ever see it, because we don't live that long.
Okay, now this is
Nonsense.
It's going back and forth. Okay, you can have a macro level, okay, and a micro level. It's just a matter of generations, all right?
Also, he's wrong. We have observed evolution taking place, both on the micro level and the macro level, both in the lab and in the field. So he's just wrong. He's just absolutely demonstrably wrong.
Species that have been around for millions of years, they evolved over millions of years, okay? It is correct that if a species has a long lifespan and doesn't reproduce a lot of generations in a human lifespan, it's not something you can witness in real time. However, there are species that have short lifespans and reproduce at high levels, and that can be observed in real time, speciating.
Yeah, you know what my source is? Fucking antibiotics.
Though there's many demonstrations, and so you would have observed new species, and Ryan doesn't seem to understand that. What is more macro than a new species, right? That's the end of the line in the description.
That's macroevolution.
Yeah,
under every definition.
Yeah, so this is a problem with knowing terms. I think is another problem. Right?
Look at the chat. You're gonna fit right in here, Lupin. Racist
hey, Lupin's welcome as long as everything's civil. All right, my man. So
he was
for everybody.
On my channel last time he was there, so he
everybody has the same rules. You behave, or there's people with wrenches that we'll take care of that. Okay, otherwise we'll have a good time. All right, here we go.
Well, I found one. I found an animal that has lived even before the dinosaurs. We have tons of fossils, and it's still alive today. That animal is the horseshoe crab.
Lupin wins the dumbass contest.
Okay, we've got the horseshoe crab, and he just is happy with a drum roll that he found the horseshoe crab. The horseshoe crab, along with the coelacanth, are two of the creationists' favorite examples to try and say either evolution doesn't happen or that the Earth isn't old because they haven't changed very much. But we're going to get into why they haven't changed very much.
Hold on. You know what? This is a stupid argument. You know what they should have used if they wanted to make this argument? What animal they should have used? Dragonflies. Dragonflies have not changed in millions of years at all. But
and
I'll let you say why. Go ahead.
Well, and we're going to get into that a little bit here. I had asked Ryan, okay? Ryan told me, and I quote, because we were talking back and forth in the comments. He said he wants a new and distinct form. Theropod dinosaurs turned into birds. That's macroevolution. Horseshoe crabs turning into different kinds of horseshoe crabs that are essentially indistinguishable is microevolution. And I answered back, a new and distinct form, which is what he's asking for, is a new species. It's very difficult to try to explain when you don't understand the very basic understanding of if it's a new and distinct form, they label it a new species.
Let me add to that.
Right?
Because it has to be, it's a new and distinct form that cannot have offspring with its ancestors. That's an important part of it. Now, some things like you can breed a donkey and a horse and get a mule, right? But mules can't breed themselves, so it's not. It doesn't count, like they can't carry on the genes.
Yeah, there's enough genetic leftover,
So that's an important part of it, is that they can't breed with prior species.
So yeah, like I said, he found the horseshoe crab, and look it up yourself, and I did. Okay, I always look these things up just to see, and when you look it up, sure enough, you'll get the horseshoe crab and the coelacanth. Almost every creationist site
they use. I don't know why they don't use dragonfly. Lupin's saying it was bigger, and that's true, but that was like dragonflies predate dinosaurs. And they there was a time when most life on Earth was bigger, and it has to do with our atmosphere and oxygen and all those things.
But there are species that have gotten bigger.
Morphologically, it was the same.
There are some species have gotten bigger. It depends on a lot of factors. So but
I used to be skinny. Now I'm big, but I'm not a different person.
Well, and it's a good balance. It's a matter of energy and energy in and energy out. What's it worth to eat a certain thing, and what's it worth to be a bigger size? It's a big trade-off.
When you have more oxygen in the atmosphere, you're able to expend more energy to be bigger, and therefore have a larger variety of prey. There are pressures for it, but as the oxygen levels went down in our atmosphere, the pressures were to reduce in size so that it didn't take as much energy to move and catch that prey or to reproduce.
And with our horseshoe crab here, the horseshoe crab is in the water, so that pressure isn't as much because it's not the oxygen level in the ocean wouldn't be as dissolved as these things can go into deeper water. And they could adjust to just the level they wanted and they liked being in. So.
Here's the thing: in forms that their prey is also a form that's in some kind of stasis or been very similar over a long period of time, they tend to stay the same if they're good at that. Now, horseshoe crabs, how they feed is going to be effective in almost all situations, and
they eat most anything.
They don't have that environmental pressure, in order to change. Stasis is actually one of the pillars of evolution for this reason, because it shows you when things do have an environmental pressure to change and when they don't. And it's a big part of the theory of evolution. It doesn't just disprove it, it actually helps support it. Now, they're not exactly the same as they've been in the past. They have changed, but the morphological changes aren't large, and creationists can't understand how something, it doesn't look like a dog now, so it must be the same thing. And it's just stupid and willful ignorance.
The horseshoe crab is from the same phylum as crabs and insects and spiders. It's this gnarly looking crab spider thing. It's got a big shell on it, and it's got these little feet underneath, which it uses to crawl and propel around the water. It's got a tail thing on it that's actually.
Now, again, he doesn't read these things, okay? It says they do not use their tail to attack. Okay,
Yeah.
Remember that. That's important, all right? In fact, their tail, also known as telson, serve a different purpose.
Well,
Okay.
they don't feed that way anyway, so it's not.
Yep.
Their tail
Now,
being poisonous wouldn't benefit them in any way.
it says right here, contrary to what you might expect, horseshoe crabs do not have any venom or poison in their tails.
I
They
would
do not use their tails as a weapon to defend themselves
I would expect that.
or attack predators. Now, that's exactly what he's asking this thing to do, is what it doesn't do. Okay, pay attention. He doesn't even understand. He's not paying attention even to what he reads, and you're going to notice that again.
Used for steering. It's not
Bree.
used for attacking or anything like that. It's used for steering, moving itself around. This animal has been around for.
And again, pay attention to what this says. They use it to flip themselves back over. Okay, because they're made like a scoop and they flip over. Okay, now
Like turtles.
now they're exposing their underbelly, which is very vulnerable when they have a shell on their back. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Almost
the
like they're meant
tail,
to crawl on the ground.
yeah,
And
the
there's shell on
tail
top of them.
has a absolutely very vital purpose that it's using it for, is to flip itself back over. That's kind of important, very, very important. Okay, or they probably would have gone extinct if they couldn't do that. Okay.
450 million years.
Now, mind you, he's a young Earth creationist, and it's 450 million years on a 6,000-year-old planet. Now,
Pretty
to
sucks
me, now 450 million years,
It's
that sounds pretty successful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How many species can hold that honor? I mean,
It's more than 6,000, I want to point out, too.
yeah. So, 450 million years sounds like the horseshoe crab's doing something right. How many species have came and went, including the dinosaurs, the non-avian dinosaurs? Came and went, yeah. All kind of successful species. Horseshoe crab's still here. Maybe wonder why it's still here. I don't think he understands.
There are tons of fossils of this thing, and it is still alive today. I'm sure some of you have seen them at the beach or in the ocean. It's all over the place. You can find them very easily. My question is, why haven't the horseshoe crabs evolved?
Okay, very simply, and I replied to this in the comments. I said, horseshoe crabs have evolved. They have speciated at least 4 times. There are 4 species of horseshoe crabs. He wants a macro evolution. Once again, you can't get any more macro than a new species. You have horseshoe crabs evolved at least 4 times, and in one of the slides he shows, it says there's 4 species of horseshoe crabs. So
show this guy a phylogenetic tree.
What more do you want? That's the answer. And
Marrostomata is the clade that horseshoe crabs are in. And those branches all off of that, guess what? Those are other forms that it has became. It doesn't mean that the horseshoe crab itself can't exist, though. You're stupid.
I see Breeze here and Crystal's here. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, and Bree knows. She was telling, like I said, she was telling
forms. I mean, this is simple, right?
she was telling me the names.
Successful forms continue on, and unsuccessful forms go extinct. That's how it works. I don't know how that is so confusing to creationists. They're like, well, the horseshoe crab's been around forever. It's not evolving. And it's like, no, you don't understand. It has in many other forms, but the horseshoe crab itself is the most successful form out of that clade, and it has continued on into extant species. It's still here because of that. Like, they don't understand the very, very basics of successful things continue and unsuccessful things don't. If it has continued, it's because it's successful. It's simple.
And you have to ask for things that can get an answer with a scientific properly answer, because if you're asking for macro and you're given 4 species and you're saying that's not macro enough, well, what answer do you give? Sorry, that is the answer. Okay, I'm sorry if you don't like the answer, but that is the answer. It's a new species. That's macroevolution.
And I asked this to someone in a comment back and forth, and he said, well, there was no, it lived in a stable environment, so it didn't have a reason to evolve.
Hello, Maya. Thanks for stopping by. You got your popcorn there? All right, you're good to go. Okay, yeah, well, again, the horseshoe crab is very good at being a horseshoe crab because it's managed to move up and down in the water. Like I said earlier, in the water, it's usually in the shallow water. But if things are getting a little too warm, it can go in deeper water. If things are getting a little too cool, it can come up in more shallow water. It can move in the water depths, which is a great advantage to avoid environmental conditions. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
he just answered the question, but I'm interested to see what he follows that with.
So yeah, it's frustrating. So,
yeah.
But
which is the most convenient answer,
or the right one.
Yeah. See, here's the attitude. Oh, isn't that answer convenient? When you give the proper answer,
you give the answer that best explains it, and they're like,
well, isn't that convenient? And it's like, well, it's very convenient. That's what's in the textbooks. Yes. For anybody that wants to look, it's convenient, I guess. Hello, Ollie. Hi, Ray.
What's up, everybody?
Robin is here.
I shared this hoping
stopping by.
Come. I don't know if they came from there, but
yeah, we're having fun here with a young Earth creationist who kind of has an attitude. So the gloves are kind of off. You know what I mean? We're not going to get personal or anything, but we're not pulling any punches on his weak arguments.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, hello, Sandals. Good to see you.
Here's the problem with that answer. Horseshoe crab predators: fish, sharks, alligators, turtles, birds. Birds crack the shell of this thing to get to the inside and eat its insides out. That's every animal that can get to the water for food is a predator of the horseshoe crab. Its babies are super vulnerable and they get picked off the beach super easy. It's vulnerable to all of these different predators. It lives in relatively shallow waters, although it can go into deeper waters, but for the most part, it stays in shallow waters. And it has remained almost totally unchanged.
Okay, you notice what he said, almost totally unchanged. Okay, that means it has changed in a shorter version. Okay,
yeah.
It means
my answer is so. What's your point? Like,
yeah,
all those things can be true. What does that have to do with anything?
But he must have read read that, and saw that it said almost totally unchanged, right? But
Also,
almost unchanged is so they have evolved. That's my
yeah.
note here, right here.
Well, I want to say something about the shell thing.
Well, let me get my notes out real quick first here, so I don't lose my place. All right.
Okay, sorry.
I just wanted to mention everything on this planet is on the menu for something else. Okay. It wasn't long ago humans were on the menu. Okay.
Or can.
Yeah. And the idea that the horseshoe crabs get eaten is disproved by the fact they've been around for 500 million years, for 450 million years. I think they've actually found one that's like 500 million years old. Okay. 500 million years they've been around. Okay. And that proves they didn't all get eaten, right? If they all got eaten, there wouldn't be any, right? Okay. So, and horseshoe crabs have defenses and are not vulnerable to every predator. Large predators, sure, large predators can eat most of whatever they want, right? But they do have protection. They have a hard shell. They have spikes. They can burrow into the sand and hide. They can go up and down in the water levels, and they come out to hunt at night to help avoid predators, which a lot of species also do. And yes, some get eaten. And yes, they make lots of babies because it's evolutionary pressure to either have a lot of babies and hope some survive, or you have species like us that have just a few offspring, and we protect them and nurture them and, wipe their nose and all that kind of good stuff, right? So yes, that's the trade-off. But again, all the crabs didn't get eaten, at least not before they reproduced. And all of their offspring did not get eaten because, again, they had to have reproduced to be around for almost 500 million years. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
So first of all, most predators are looking for the easiest opportunity to feed. And while there are some animals that will attack horseshoe crabs to try and crack open their shell and eat them, a lot of times, especially when they're washed up on the beach like they were in that picture. But you notice there was one bird attacking one horseshoe crab out of 50. And all that aside, though, evolution doesn't care about that. It has nothing to do with how many are getting eaten as long as they're surviving. It's about, are they able to pass off their genes and be successful in their environment? And as long as they're doing that, which they are, everybody can eat them. That's how it works. They have to be part of the food chain. If they didn't have predators, they would be overpopulated and go extinct that way. It's just part of the natural order of things that they are eaten, they reproduce. Some of those are eaten, they reproduce, and they go on and on and on. They reproduce much faster than they're eaten, so they continue. They're fit for their environment, so they're successful. Those are all the things that evolution sees. I don't know what point he was even making here. And then saying almost unchanged means changed a little bit is what I read that as. So I don't know. I don't even know like what point he was trying to make there because it didn't make any sense.
No. Oh, he's got more.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Over 450 million years.
Yes. And we're trying to emphasize here. Think about why it's been around for almost 500 million years. Okay. It's very good at being a horseshoe crab. Okay. That's what I'm getting, right? I'm like, wow, the dinosaurs came and went. How many, who knows, right? Untold amounts of species have came and went. Horseshoe crab.
PC's talking about horseshoe crab. There's some other really important stuff about horseshoe crabs we'll talk about at the end.
So, but yeah, the emphasis he's making seems to absolutely again destroy his argument of why hasn't it evolved? Well, because it's really good at what it does for 500 million years. So there's not a pressure to change that he thinks there is. Although he's going to bring.
He doesn't realize horseshoe crabs are a perfect example of evolution. He thinks that it disproves evolution because he doesn't understand anything about it. They are actually one of the best examples of evolution at play. Sorry.
Yeah, all right.
I rant.
So dinosaurs evolved into birds.
Okay. Birds are dinosaurs. This is another creationist argument. Okay, it's
they claim they see dinosaurs today, Dave.
It's getting old. It's basic terminology again. Okay, there are avian dinosaurs and there are non-avian dinosaurs. Okay, now I don't understand again his argument that the dinosaurs turned into birds, so the horseshoe crabs didn't turn into birds. Or
they were supposed to turn into dragons, Dave. Dragons.
Oh, okay. But,
horseshoe dragons.
Yeah, see, it's hard to follow. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, birds are dinosaurs. Okay.
I'm still waiting on my wings to come in.
Most of the dinosaurs went extinct, but the smaller avian ones did not. So there's again, this is terminology, and this is pretty much accepted now as good terminology that birds are dinosaurs.
It's almost like there was some kind of event, and the animals that didn't live on the ground and that lived up off the ground and survived up off the ground. It's almost like there was something that happened, like in the Gulf of Mexico.
Hold that thought. He's about to mention that.
Okay.
They didn't have a stable environment, even though they were the top dogs of that era.
Wrong.
The dinosaurs were successful for a long time, but it's very hard to be successful when a big rock hits the planet and there was either volcanic activity already happening or happened from the impact or was increased by the impact. And yeah, the whole planet was affected. It was a big, major disaster.
There is no top dog. It's just you're either fit for your environment or you're not. And if your environment changes rapidly, evolution is slow. It can't keep up with that. And so those animals go extinct. If your environment changes slowly over time, guess what? So do you. It's evolution 101 or high school evolution even. If you're lucky enough to go to one that teaches it. Mine didn't. But go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
No, you're all right. That's what I got you here for. Oh, and yes, somebody did notice that I like to use this, and Logan mentioned it. And I said, it's kind of a B.S. Lewis thing. It's like, I kind of got a B.S. Lewis vibe from it when I came across it. So
go back and watch the video from the beginning, Otangelo. It answers your question.
Yep. So this is just the bullshit detector, okay?
Yeah.
It's because I try to keep my language clean and I did just slip a little bit there. But so this is the meter that comes up, okay? So, but we got Joe here to take care of that.
I'll take care of all the F words, Dave.
But apparently they didn't have a stable enough environment, so velociraptors had to turn into birds because they were super scared of everything around them.
Okay, now this is just incredibly dumb because
yeah,
they didn't turn into birds because they were scared. And why would you turn into a smaller species when you got teeth and claws, right? I mean,
they're chicken shits, so they turned into chicken.
Yeah. I don't think velociraptors were afraid of anything that wasn't, a lot bigger than them, right? I mean, they weren't as big as they showed them in the movies, but they look pretty fierce for their size. So I don't think anything their size was a problem.
Poor Otangelo.
Oh, Otangelo.
So just
It'll be okay, Otangelo.
Can I quickly address this? Just very quickly. So check this out, Otangelo. Yes, there are mutations to every ancestor, right? So that's cool, but it doesn't mean that every change carries on to the offspring. If it's not successful, and if it doesn't benefit that species or form, then it doesn't continue on. If it is, it does. Things that are already fit to the environment they live in have no pressure in order to keep those changes, so they drop off. And the same mutations may come about multiple times, but just never stay because they're not needed for anything. They're not beneficial to that species in its environment. So that applies to everything living from cyanobacteria up to T-Rexes, All right.
Well, there's going to be something. We'll see if even Otangelo agrees with something he's got to say coming up here.
But horseshoe crabs, which are vulnerable to every animal, basically every animal is a predator.
Not little animals. Most of the world is populated by small species, including insects. Okay. Yeah. And they're not eating the horseshoe crabs.
So he's dishonest here. What he's done.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Am I interrupting your notes?
No, you're go ahead. Yeah, that's just factually incorrect that it's vulnerable to almost everything alive on this planet. It's not.
He's trying to make people who refute this be pedantic in doing it. So he's trying to make you say, no, not everyone, and then he says, oh well, we understand ants aren't attacking it, right? But what he did here was name 4 animals or 5 animals, whatever the hell he said, that did attack it, and then he went and he changed that out in the next line and said everything hunts this animal, which just isn't the case. It was a dishonest way to argue a point, is what he just did.
And he's gonna try and repeat it here.
Of horseshoe crabs, even birds. The research says birds will crack this thing's shell open with their beak and eat it.
Okay. Again, birds. Okay. He's got a thing about birds. Okay.
They're scared.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, everything's on the menu. Okay. Technically. Okay. And many species get eaten. That's how it goes. Okay.
They're part of the food chain. What are you talking about?
The trick is how many of those species survive that did not all get eaten. Yes, some get eaten. Maybe most of them get eaten. But it's enough that you have a population that can keep the genetics going to keep the next generations going. Okay. And even then, once you've reproduced, and some species like salmon and stuff, they expire after they reproduce. They're done, right?
Organismal architecture.
If you've reproduced and then you get eaten, it doesn't really matter. You've already reproduced. So again, how many get eaten is irrelevant to the number of how many reproduce.
Can I be mean to Otangelo for a moment? Just for a minute.
Is he being mean? Are you not behaving, Otangelo?
He's just being a dishonest person is what he's doing.
Go ahead.
In his argument here, the last part, organismal architecture did not change. Why did you say it that way? Just say form. Just say they didn't evolve to another species. Like you make these arguments and you try to talk over people's heads, and you look like a jackass for doing it. And just have the conversation, Otangelo. I can explain that to you perfectly about E. coli, and so can anyone who's an expert in evolution or any kind of biology. You know the answer to this question. You've been told over and over the answer to that question. Sorry, throwing big words at me in Kentucky.
Pay attention, Otangelo. You might learn something.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to see the chat because I got my notes on the screen here. So
He's not even talking about the thing we are. He's just going on about, well, this one doesn't do that. You know.
Let me check the chat. And hello, Otangelo, by the way. And
those small changes are called evolution, Otangelo. There you go.
Yeah, try to pay attention, learn something. Okay, that's what we're doing here. And let's see. I want to make sure that everybody. I said hello to everybody. I said hi to everybody. Good to see everybody. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Good to see everybody.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm trying to figure out if there's any good reason.
Kind of left you hanging here. But I thought I'd leave it in because I thought it was funny.
I had someone else bring up just today, recently. He said, he mocked me and said, because I said the horseshoe crab sucks, which it does. It's like the dumbest animal that you could come up with.
Say what?
It's a...
Okay, Otangelo. Pay attention to this part, okay? He says, now, whether you believe it's 6,000 or the actual 500 million years, creationists believe this was made by their creator, right? And he just said it sucks.
A spider crab that can't swim fast and it can't attack anything and it's vulnerable to every predator. That sucks, okay?
Here's my note. Horseshoe crabs have survived for 450 million years. Again, I believe I read one they found a fossil that's more like 500 million years old. Okay, and as this creationist, a young Earth creationist, he believes they were made by a perfect creator, right? And he thinks they suck. So, I mean,
here's my thing.
I don't even understand why.
Humans have been around for about 300,000 years. Horseshoe crabs, 445 million years. Do they suck? Because it seems to me like they're pretty fucking successful. Sorry about the F word. Well, but
you would think though, as a creationist, though, that he would be more appreciative of God's handiwork rather than saying he made. Basically, he's saying God made this stupid crab bug looking thing.
I want to know what kind he thinks a horseshoe crab is. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah. Hi, Tux. How you doing? Good to see you. So there's his attitude that this thing that lasted 450 million years and was a product of a perfect creator sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but it does.
See, he's kind of got an attitude, right? Yeah. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings. It's like it doesn't hurt my feelings. Again,
hit us with
it's going over your head. Yeah, it's going over your head that this thing is very good at being a horseshoe crab, and you can laugh at it and make fun of it that it sucks and look, it's stupid. It doesn't do this or that. It doesn't have lasers coming out of its eyes or nothing cool. But the horseshoe crab really doesn't care because they'll probably outlive us if we don't do something to them first.
You know what hurts my feelings is that complete idiots like this guy who knows nothing about what he's talking about has based his view of the natural world on a book written by idiots. We'll not say idiots because that wasn't their fault. By uneducated people who couldn't read or write, who passed this down, and now he says this is the truth. Never mind what we actually see. The thing that hurts my feelings though is that then he and others of his ilk take this and teach it to children as truth and lie to them about the world around them because they believe a thing is true, not based on anything other than, oh, I believe it, so I'm going to tell everybody it's true. That's what bothers me, not the fact that he's stupid. I could care less that he's an idiot. That's
similar to my notes, and I'll tell you what I said too. That my feelings are not hurt, but my brain is a bit overwhelmed with the amount of dum-dum in one person. Okay.
Yes.
And yes, the joke is on you. And you said the horseshoe crab sucks and everything eats it and it's vulnerable to everything. And yet they have survived and out-survived many species that aren't around anymore. You really try excelling at being dense? Question mark.
The horseshoe crab thinks he sucks. So
we're in agreement there that you're really trying hard to be dense. I mean, really, really trying hard. That's what I have to say. I think Joe agrees. So
I give it my seal of approval.
And it's not done yet.
Well, joke's on you because it survived 5 mass extinction events.
Yes.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, it's not only survived 500 million years, it survived 5 mass extinction events. And more people in the chat, Deconverted Man and Sydney, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
What's up, guys?
So, yes, this is why this person was making, mocking you, making a joke. You're inviting it, okay? When you invite it, okay? I mean, I often say the ridiculous invites ridicule by definition, right? You're talking nonsense. Go ahead.
Well,
John.
here's the thing. He's made enough comments here that are actually things in evolution and scientific facts. He's pointed out enough things here that he knows these are the true things about it. And so far, his argument has been, birds. And like, I mean, he hasn't really even argued anything. He says they suck. So what? Who cares what you think? Like, you shouldn't think if you're not equipped for the job, buddy. Like, just, be quiet and believe in your bullshit and go on.
And I'm so happy that he left that comment because it just solidifies my question even further. This thing has survived all of the alleged extinction events, including the one that took out all the dinosaurs.
And notice he said alleged extinction.
Why would they
events.
die now then? Why would they die now? That's my question.
But again, though, that's a bad argument. That's like saying, that soldier that's been through 5 wars and never got a scratch on him, even though he was in every battle, sucks, right? It's like, that sounds like a pretty good soldier to me, right? I mean, his argument just is just so bad. I don't see why he thinks it's a good argument.
No.
So the extinction event that took out the dinosaurs, but the birds that evolved from dinosaurs are still cool.
Okay, again, the mass extinction event estimated numbers that took out the dinosaurs about 65 million years ago was a 75% extinction event, not 100. So amongst the 25% that survived, so did the horseshoe crabs. That's just, none of these, I don't think there's, well, there couldn't have been, as far as I know, a complete 100% extinction event. So
let's look at what he said, though, because he said the horseshoe crabs had been around in these other 4 extinction events, and then they survived the extinction event that killed off what we call the dinosaurs, right? And he says, but birds are cool. Those avian dinosaurs went on to be birds. Like, what does he not get here? Like, they evolved because of this event. Like, the horseshoe crab wasn't affected by it as much, so it continued on its path. And if they survived these 5 extinction events that that he accepts, apparently, even though he doesn't believe in any of that, then why would they die now? Why would they change or be different? If they survived 5 extinction events, why do they need to change? What's going to kill them off? Birds? Is your answer birds again? I have a feeling he's going to say birds again.
Yeah, I think so.
Didn't kill the horseshoe crab.
Right. If it did, it wouldn't still be around. Okay. It was among the survivors. And again, like I mentioned earlier, the horseshoe crab can eat almost anything. Okay. So it has an advantage right there. It's an omnivore and it can eat dead stuff. All right. It has an advantage. And it can go into deeper water. Okay. So even if the asteroid was, like they say, it was like a pizza oven, all around that area and everything. If the water's getting hot, you can go into cooler water. Okay. It has an advantage. So now, surely if there were some horseshoe crabs on the beach that day, they probably had a bad day. Okay. Yeah. Those were incinerated.
They probably didn't make it.
They probably didn't make it. Yeah. Nothing left of them. But any of them that were just for whatever reason in some deeper water would have had shielding from the heat. So
they were in water.
This is again, and like you said, Joe, he is looking some of this stuff up.
Yeah.
And even if you pay attention, to what he puts up there, it mentions these things that they can go into deeper water.
Football.
Nowhere did he say they're stuck in shallow water. He said they can go into deeper water. Yes, that's an advantage. Okay.
So you understand.
They're not stuck at the beach. Yeah, they're not stuck there.
They weren't all underneath the meteor.
Hello, BS. Yeah, we were just mentioning
my face hurts from laughing.
This BS detector on the screen here was inspired by you. When I saw it, it's like, oh, that's inspiring. It reminds me of B.S. Lewis. Good
I had
to see
break
you.
out my other vape for this guy.
And always BS's stuff is always very entertaining. So he puts a lot of work into it.
Creators in the atheist space right now, for real.
Yep.
I love BS stuff.
He puts a lot of time and effort into his videos, and if you aren't checking out B.S. Lewis, you better go check out B.S. Lewis and support him. All right.
Respect the process, if nothing else, even if you don't agree with him.
Good stuff. Even if you don't agree with him, you will get a chuckle out of it. I guarantee.
Yeah, it's funny shit.
Okay, so if the horseshoe crab has undergone 5 mass extinction events, it seems like the environment was pretty unstable, right?
Yes, in certain areas, but like we just said, once again, and you said earlier, it can go into deeper water. So if it's unstable at the beach, it can go into deeper water that becomes more stable. And that's why some of these species, like we mentioned earlier, another favorite is the coelacanth. Some of the coelacanths, at least the species they were pulling up from deep water, is a deep water species. See? And they don't change much because there's less pressures as they get deeper and deeper into the water. So again, the horseshoe crab can escape a bad day, even if, again, all of them didn't. Even if half of them or 3/4 of them were all on the beach that day and got vaporized, right? One big crab fest, okay? Some of them were in deeper water. So his arguments are self-contradictory, and I think maybe he needs to write it down in front of him to see, wait a minute, these things are all contradictory or something. You all right there?
I was coughing. I didn't hear it.
Got your lung back?
Yeah.
Right? A mass extinction event?
Yes.
Yes. We've agreed with everything he said. You know that.
Yes.
But then he comes to these non sequitur conclusions. I would love to talk to this guy.
Oh, it's Mike did Mike is trying, and I will give kudos to Mike for trying. I
Hey,
mean,
you know what?
he's got a video. You should go check out his video. He is so happy to get Kent Hovind's book in the mail. I got to wash my mouth out with soap.
Yeah.
He was just, oh, look at this fantastic, basically, information book. And
Let me say something about Mike. I like Mike's stuff, and I'm sorry if I caused a scene over at Mike's the other day, but
no, it was fine. You were fine. It wasn't nothing. Nope. Don't even worry about it.
And he's very intelligent, and he knows what he's talking about, right? He understands philosophy and the brain and these things better than most anybody you're going to talk to. Here's what Mike needs to do. Mike needs to pair up with someone who is the complete opposite of him, a complete smart ass like me. I can't do it, but he needs to find.
I try.
The Shaken Fist.
He
needs to go collab with the Shaken Fist over Zach at the Shaken Fist. Go collab with somebody that is a complete opposite of you, and make some content out of that. And
him and Scott make a good team.
Scott is awesome. You're right.
Scott,
You're right.
Scott's always on the Google. They're pulling up all kind of scientific papers and everything.
I'm not saying he should drop Scott. I'm just saying dude,
well, no, that's.
It would be funny. It would be really funny, and it'd be thorough because it'd be both sides of the spectrum, right?
Yeah, that's when he opens it up and brings us in and stuff, And so, you were fine when you were on it. Ain't nothing.
Well, it was a misunderstanding, first of all.
It was no big deal. It was
stupid of me to jump into that conversation, but
it was all right.
Go check out Mike's if you want to see it.
Oh, yeah. Answers in Atheism, great channel.
Sure.
And Bree's Hair, Hiveside, great channel. Deconverted Man, great channel. Pragmatic Crystal, go check out Crystal's channel. She's always got some cool nature stuff going on over there. Al Trucker, go check out Al's channel too.
PC is the top mod on the internet.
Does Sydney put a content out? I didn't remember. I don't remember.
I don't.
If so, go check out Sydney anyway. And B.S. Lewis, make sure you go over there. Go check out everybody in the chat. Check out each other's channels. Yeah. Subscribe to each other.
I think we're all
help each other out. Well, anybody else listening, help everybody out. It means a lot. It's like I say, people put a lot of effort in and reward their work. And if you had a good laugh or something, drop a thumb, drop a comment, say, hey, that was funny. We appreciate it.
What they said the extinction event was that took out the dinosaurs made the environment so volatile that it wiped out whole entire groups of animals.
Like the dinosaurs.
Yes.
I
agree again.
And I'm repeating it once again that
what's the problem
it's estimated. Here? And I looked this stuff up. If you don't like my numbers, if you don't think my numbers are good, drop me a comment with a source that's different. But this is what I found, that it's estimated the event that happened 65 million years ago that took out, like Joe said, what we call the dinosaurs, even though birds are still dinosaurs. It was a 75% extinction event. That's pretty bad. Okay. Yeah. But it 25% survived. The horseshoe crab survived. And like I said, one good advantage is they are in the water, which is insulation, and they can go into deeper water for better insulation. That's a great way to escape what was happening on the surface.
Yeah, let me point out something too. I know a lot of people think, oh, a meteor hit and the dinosaurs died, and that's not what happened. That meteor that hit, actually, you can explain evolution with it even. And honestly, Ryan does a real good job explaining evolution. He's hit several big points that are true, but then he says, but that meteor hit was a world-changing event. It fundamentally changed everything for land animals. And so over thousands of years, they died off or evolved and were successful in other ways and evolved, and we have birds, So he doesn't think it's not the jab he thinks it is when he says these things. He's like, and it supposedly killed off 75% of the life. Yes, we agree. He sat here, and I would talk to him if he did this, and I would say, well, I agree with everything you said. You perfectly explained evolution. You don't believe it's true for some reason. You know how it works, and you still say, no, my God did it. Seems kind of dishonest to me.
Hello, Stephanie. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
And again, sorry, I rant.
Yeah, so he just doesn't, his argument is not what he thinks it is. Again, no. If you say something survived 5 mass extinction events, that sounds like it's doing something right. That does not sound like a pressure to change. That sounds like every pressure not to change as much as possible because you're surviving 5 mass extinction events, right? That's it. It's good. It's good the way it is.
Yeah.
And I also like to bring up, he likes to talk again, like this poor, pathetic horseshoe crab that has a shell, etc. Okay. What about worms? There's lots of worms. I think there's 20,000 species of worms or something. There are lots of worms. Worms are everywhere. Worms are on the menu for, the early bird gets the worm, right? Okay. We still have worms. They don't even have a shell, right? They hide in the ground, but they don't have a shell. They don't have a spear. They don't have lasers coming out their eyes or anything, but they've found their niche. They're really good at being worms, and they've survived. And there's worms everywhere. You look up the numbers. It's incredible how many worms are in every acre or whatever, the measurements are. And when I did my little short on nematodes, there are so many nematodes in the world that if everything disappeared except for the nematodes, it would leave a perfect outline of everything. Of the planet, the mountains, the trees, the people. It would leave a perfect, like a 3D outline of everything by the amount of nematodes that are on everything and in and on us right now. And they're worms. Very successful. They haven't grown, and they don't have shells. And almost anything can eat them. But not all of them. See, and this relates to the extinction. Not all of them went extinct.
Almost unchanged.
Yeah, he's missed it by that much, right?
Yeah.
So, hello, Michael. Good to see you.
It's almost like he missed it by 25%, huh? Like 75% of things died.
Just a little bit. Right about right over the top of the head.
Yeah.
So close, so close.
But the horseshoe crab, totally unaffected.
Yeah. That's why it's still here.
Yeah. It survived, yes.
And it again, and we're sure, I think Joe would agree again, that we're pretty positive a lot of horseshoe crabs had a bad day the day the asteroid hit.
I think he's an evolutionist and this is comedy.
Yeah, especially if you were in that area. I'm not sure where the Atlantic horseshoe crab actually stays, but if there were some in that area, they had a bad day. Okay, but that was in that area. Then the more you get out, then it differs from there. And again, if you're in deeper water, there's the end of your argument right there.
Does this video show his conclusion at the end? Is that part of what we're going to see?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the ending.
No, I don't want you to. I can't wait to see what it is.
Hey,
I agree with him.
I'll hail Bigfoot, Michael.
Yeah.
With its little shell and its freaky spider fingers or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
He really tries to diminish it, doesn't it? Like this little thing with its shell and its tail.
He knows everything about it and still can't understand.
And yeah, and it's like, well, what's wrong with that? Again, now see, if I was going to design something to survive, I might look at the horseshoe crab as my design, right?
Or don't
It's
be a
simple.
dumbass.
Yeah, it's simple. It can eat almost anything. It's small enough that it doesn't need to eat a lot, which is advantageous. It can survive on, just about anything, and it can move in different depths of water. I think if I was designing a marine creature, that's pretty good, right? Pretty good. Of course, there's advantages to others. Now he's going to show here in a minute. He wants it to be like a fish, or he wants it to be like a bird, or he wants it to be like this or that. And well, we have those other species, but he doesn't understand those filled those niches. This is filling its. So
yeah,
but he's going to show that. Yeah, he's about to show that. It
has creepy legs. Okay.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to like them for some reason. You know what I mean? It's like, look at this. Like he said, it sucks.
I bet he's an arachnophobe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But he said it sucks, and it's just this thing with its little legs, and it's
I would like to know the answer to that. Ask him if he's an arachnophobe, Dave. Get a hold of him. Tell him I want to know.
And as I mentioned earlier, I think it's half the species in the animal kingdom are insects.
Yeah.
And I think half of those are beetles that have shells.
Very successful, too.
Very successful.
Birds eat them all the time.
Birds eat them all the time. And they don't even know how many species of beetles are. That's how successful they are. Every time they try to count them, they find some more. Okay?
Shit, man. My face.
So a shell, lots of species use a shell. It's very effective. While, again, not 100%, but nothing is, because in the end, anything can be on the menu.
I need somebody to make sense of this.
Now, see, there was people in the chat trying to explain this. Mike talked. I'm not sure exactly if Mike spoke about this. He spoke to him about morality, I think. But I know Deacon Verdeman, and there was some other folks in the chat. Somebody left him a very detailed comment. Okay, very proper looking, like, I don't know, they pulled it right out of a textbook or something, right? It was, or he wrote it very well. Either way, I don't know, but he this is a reason that we're not being very kind to Ryan, is because when people did respond with civil comments, just giving him information, he was snotty, he was rude, he was sexist. He told one person, you argue like a female or something like that. Like, no. Well, I got news for you. There's some females out there that could debate you under the table, my dude. Okay. That was, he's got an attitude, a lot of things about go back and play your video games. And he said some vulgar things to me. So we're not being very kind. Okay. Because he seems to be intentionally just either wanting to troll people or
he's
just
a smug asshole.
Or he is just a smug asshole all the time. Yeah. And I'm gonna have to say 50 all hail Bigfoots for having to cuss and everything now.
Because I wanna address what Mike said real quick. He said that not many people are as ignorant of evolution. The problem is that he sat here and explained many things that fit right together and explain evolution, but each part of it he looks at as a fairy tale or whatever, because he thinks he has a book that tells him the truth about everything and knows everything, right? So he's like, no, I got a book, I know, and he looks at evolution, he looks down on it like it's this fanciful idea or something, whenever it's the truth and what best explains the world, but he thinks that book best explains the world. And
if you missed the very, very beginning, check it out. He does a little song at the beginning that goes, "You're in a religion and you don't even know it." Or he's basically using that whole, if you are claiming to be non-religious, you still have a religion, which is one of them oldest, weakest arguments they have. And that if you accept well-established science, that you're also just in a religion. And he does this little silly song. And hey, you do whatever you want, man. But it sets off right away where he's at. And hello, native atheist. Good to see you.
What's up, guys?
All right, yeah. So here's where it's going to get good here, but it's mostly that. Yeah, okay. And we're a little bit. We're at 3/4, and we'll wrap it up.
This is the big non sequitur, guys. Here it is.
We're gonna
He's
have
got
the big
information. We agree with it. Now let's see what he thinks it is.
And you're gonna see more and more. Like I say, the Hawaiian shirt guy attitude.
Because if macroevolution is a real thing and it happens, and it's happened all the time before, but it takes a really long time and it requires unstable environment pressure.
Yes and no. There's a lot of other things that can affect it too.
It's random, kind of, right? Like it's natural selection is genes. Some genes survive because they work, and some don't, so they die off. This is exactly what we're talking about with the horseshoe crab, though. This applies to every level of animals that we're talking about, down to the little ones and the really big ones. So like
and macro and micro. He's doing macro and micro again.
They do change, but they don't always carry on those traits, and that's one of the main parts of evolution. And the thing that he's describing that he has a problem with, again, is stasis, which is one of the big points in evolution. It's very important. So
and he's ignoring the macro again, because he's also saying once again that macro only happens over millions of years.
Well, look.
And no, you can have macro speciation in a short span of time, like with the Lenski and other experiments, and they have seen species in real time in the wild speciating. There was some small mammal speciation in South America that researchers have been observing, and they said, wow, look, there's a new population and a new species, and they documented it. So the idea is, again, that we covered earlier, he's using the conflation here, that with some things it takes a very long time because of their lifespans and how long it takes them to reproduce generations, versus species that have a short lifspan and make a lot of generations. Those we can observe in a macro sense in real time. So this again,
no, let's think about it though for a second. He's saying all these other animals change, but the horseshoe crab's the same. That's actually support for an evolution explanation, because once you then observe these animals and look at their environments, where they came from, where they're going, and the changes in their environments, and you see they become fit to each environment, whereas the horseshoe crab didn't have much of a change in environment, didn't have a change in any environmental pressures to do with food. So there isn't that reason to change. He's leaving environment out of it, and if he just applied this to it, it would perfectly explain everything that he's asking. But he already knows that.
Horseshoe crab has been around for 450 million years. It has no attack mechanism. Its defense mechanisms are not strong. It can get cracked open by a bird or a dinosaur.
Okay, there it is. Or a dinosaur. Right? And I can't resist poking fun, okay? It's a bird's a dinosaur. Say it's that attitude. He's not being, he's obviously not in a wanting to learn something, even though he's asking questions, right? He's got an attitude.
Yeah, he's right, but he's being sarcastic about the whole thing, but he's saying all the right stuff.
Yeah. So, but once again,
do you have to be to not be able to see it when you're laying it out in a video like that? Like,
it has no attack mechanism. Its defense mechanisms are not strong. It can get cracked open by a bird or a dinosaur.
Now, you did ask, was he going to say bird again? And I was like, I think so. There's the bird again. Now, he's also said it's defenseless. It's not defenseless. It has a shell. Okay. It has the ability to go into deeper water.
Does it reproduce?
Yep, it does. It has the ability to burrow into the sand and hide. And they come out at night when there's fewer predators. Like a lot of other species take advantage of the cover of darkness. Okay. So it's not defenseless. He again makes it sound like they've all gotten eaten when they didn't all get eaten. They've been around 500 million years.
So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sorry.
Well, no, I'm just pointing out, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? This is a great example of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Go ahead, Joe.
I just want to answer these questions for me, Dave. Like just honest answers, right? Okay. Does the horseshoe crab exist?
Yep.
Yeah. Does it reproduce?
Yep.
Do predators at any time eat all of them?
Nope.
Does it continue to reproduce?
Yep.
Okay. So if the answers to those things are yes, and the predators don't ever eat it, then that means it continues on even when the predators go away. So it's not relevant to the point of does the horseshoe crab change over time or does it have major morphological changes after 450 million years? That's like it's a stupid thing to say. It's a horrible point.
And this again it's lacking basics, and it's going more for what the creationists like to do, like, haha, isn't that stupid effect, rather than, like I say, he didn't even pay attention to the slides he's putting up that answer some of the questions that he's asking.
Yeah.
And he seems to just skip right over. Yeah, he skips right over it. Yeah. Isn't that convenient?
Yeah. Isn't that convenient? Exactly.
You knew the answer. Isn't that convenient that you knew the answer?
Convenient?
I was asking you the question, and I was trying to be sincere, supposedly, and I asked you a question, and you answered it. Isn't that convenient?
If he was being honest, his question would be, okay, I understand the tenets of evolution, and I get what you're saying and how it works. Now, I don't believe that's true. How do you convince me that it's true? That should be his question, right? Because it's not really a thing of he doesn't know the answers to these. He's telling the answers, and they're correct. He just then acts like they're not the answers and goes on, though. It's what Otangelo did earlier.
Other people may disagree. I think he's being insincere.
I do too.
And the environmental pressure is there for the adaptation.
Okay, I had to switch to Hawaiian shirt guy. If you didn't notice, he was a turnip, and that goes back to the Futurama clip earlier when we can't believe in evolution, and he says, "Get back on your turnip trucks," right?
Yeah.
So that's the turnip joke, because we weren't being very kind, because he wasn't very nice to many people in the comments section. So the gloves were off, okay? And now he's going headlong into the Hoven, and so I got to wash my mouth out again. So the Hawaiian shirt guy made the appearance. So in case you're wondering, that's where we're at now.
Cracked open by a bird or a dinosaur. And the environmental pressure is there for the adaptation.
Yep.
Yes. And the horseshoe crab decided, we're good.
Every time.
We're good. Yeah.
I wait for him to say something I disagree with, and I can't find it.
However, there have been changes, including speciation. Okay. So they weren't so great that none of them became a new species. So there are different niches. I don't remember all of them, but there's 4 different ones. The one I remember is the Atlantic. I think the 3 others are on the other side of the world, in Indonesia or somewhere or something. But over here we have the Atlantic one. But they're just right there.
Over there.
Yeah, just right there though. There's not an absolute no change, because some of them found different places to live in.
Yeah.
See, that's evolution.
And it's like, it's almost like the environment's a little bit different, and they're a little bit different too. What
and they stayed, they stayed over in one place, and the other one stayed over in the other place. And then what do you get? You have populations that are not intermixing anymore. And then the genetics changes enough that they can no longer interbreed. That's evolution. That's macro evolution. And this is what he's been asking for, and he doesn't understand. That is macro. You have a horseshoe crab that's speciated.
Is he going to say, look at the trees?
5 mass extinction events this thing has undergone. Hasn't changed.
Okay.
Yes. Again, you do not understand.
He said this 4 times now.
He's very proud of these arguments, but I don't know why he thinks it's a bad thing that they haven't changed. I mean, it makes no sense. He meant
there better be a good gotcha here.
He either just said or he's about to say something about common sense. Okay, let's use common sense. Yeah. If something has lasted 500 million years and survived 5 mass extinction events, 5, be there, Sunday.
Yeah.
5 mass extinction events, 5. Okay, we get the point. That sounds pretty great. That's the species I want to be, right? That sounds pretty great. No matter what happens.
Good job. Yeah.
Hey, everybody else is having a bad day, but I'm still a horseshoe crab, and I'm doing my horseshoe crab thing, right?
Look at all these motherfuckers dying. I'm gonna be here forever.
Yeah, it's sure great being a horseshoe crab. That's like people badmouth cockroaches. Cockroaches have been around for a long time too. They've had the last laugh on a lot of species too. So you got to be a little, we forget to be a little humble. It's true we dominate the planet and everything, but in the big time scale of things, the cockroach and the horseshoe crab and many others laugh at us. They just laugh. If they could, they're laughing at us.
He doesn't get that, because when he went looking for some kind or animal, or however the hell he words it, when he went looking for the animal that wasn't evolving, because obviously he's done some kind of searching to find that answer, an animal that defies evolution. Now, he knows that animal isn't the norm, that it's the exception, because horseshoe crabs is one of just a few examples where creationists try to say this. And it used to be, what did they used to say all the time? Before horseshoe crab, it was a different animals. They said coelacanth. Yeah.
A coelacanth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been that they've kind of.
What about sharks? What about sharks? The sharks have been around for a long time. They're good at being sharks. They didn't become something else.
Survived way longer than the horseshoe crab.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But this is one of the creationist arguments, right? So they find an exception to evolution. Now, what he's done here is he's went through this video and pointed out all the true things about evolution. And this animal hasn't changed. But what he doesn't understand is if he's applying evolution to this argument, evolution agrees that it hasn't changed. It's one of the pillars of evolution that it hasn't changed. It's what we used when we look at that and say, oh, it's fine for its environment. It doesn't change, but things that aren't do. You compare those two things and it tells you evolution is true. Like it's not the argument he thinks it is.
And if you go look in coelacanths, there's at least one other species, I think. And they have changed, and they have changed environments in the fossil record. So, yes, they change very little, but they're also when you're in deep water, all the unstable things he's talking about aren't happening a lot in the deep water. It's very stable in the deep ocean. So,
and it's also the case, and just to make the caveat here, that some forms work in multiple environments. It's and
that's an advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
He missed the point that it's in shallow water, but it can go deeper. That's an advantage.
The earth is water.
Yeah, like we said, if it was stuck in shallow water and it can't go into deeper water for whatever reason, that would have been a disadvantage. But it does have that advantage.
Yeah.
He's going to name a few more here that are going to shoot his argument down too.
Can anybody explain this to me?
No.
Yeah, we've really tried, and I think you're dishonest, and I think you're just playing the creationist Kent Hovind game, and you're making me say that name again. It keeps slipping out of my mouth. Gosh, I hope nobody clips that.
I don't think
The
he's
Hawaiian
looking
shirt
for it.
guy. He is a disciple of the Hawaiian shirt guy. He thinks the Hawaiian shirt guy is the bee's knees.
How does macroevolution skip that one animal that happens to be around for millions and millions of years, happens to have very, very limited functional biology, and is a prey animal to every possible creature, but just hasn't changed? It didn't evolve.
Now, he mentioned something about limited biology. Now, a less complex biology, again, can be an advantage.
Yep.
Look at all the ailments we have to suffer with. Everybody out there in the chat, right? Everybody watching this video later, think about all the times you've had all these ailments, and think about only because of modern science that maybe you're still around, okay? A simpler organism that has less issues to go wrong, and it also has the unusual blood type in the horseshoe crab. It's got what they call the blue blood in it.
Mhm.
It's got a real high copper, and that helps fight off pathogens and stuff like that to keep it healthy.
Yeah.
So again, it seems to have something good going on, where it's a simpler organism. It has less, things that can go wrong, and it's pumping itself full of this anti-pathogen fighting blue copper infused blood. Sounds like it evolved those things, and you can say that sucks, but I'm seeing again. I'm going to make my design on a horseshoe crab.
The horseshoe crab is very, very valuable to medicine and medical science.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, yeah, you're right. Him saying it sucks is like, yeah, it sucks. It's saving people's lives, actually. So
if it doesn't have lasers coming out of its eyes,
right.
or the Hawaiian shirt guy, when he was asked what will prove evolution to you, he said, and I quote the Hawaiian shirt guy, "When a cow is born with a jet engine on its back,
yeah,
then he'll believe in evolution."
Daisy.
So this is that same kind of thinking that why doesn't it say, I want lasers, or I want big, huge, spiky claws, or
I told you it would come back to this. I knew it would.
Yep.
I said we'll talk about the value of the horseshoe crab later.
Yep. It's coming here. We got the finale.
That's a little poker tail thing, right? Oh, maybe it can attack people like a stingray. Nope. Just uses it to manipulate its body around. Not an attack mechanism.
Yeah. First of all, the stingrays do not attack people with their tail. The stingray, again, is scurrying along the bottom, eating little things, okay? The stingray has that tail as a defense, but it's not, it did just, again, the stingray didn't decide, hey, I got this tail and I can just impale things and eat them. That's not what it does. If you step on one, you might get stuck because it's probably in the sand, eating little things in the sand, right?
Yeah. You'll think it's a rock.
Yeah, first of all, he's got the wrong idea about the stingray. And second of all, the horseshoe crab's tail, as we said earlier, has a vital function. It rights the crab when it gets flipped upside down. That's very, very important. It has a very, very important function. And if it was using it as a weapon or something, it could get damaged, right? Maybe some of it gets broken off.
It might become a weapon later.
Now it can't flip itself back over, right? If some of its tails broke off. So they don't understand. He doesn't understand that tail has a vital function. And as far as defense goes, no, it's not stabbing. It's flipping it back over because it has a defense. the shell, and it has some few spikes on it and stuff too. It's vulnerable when it's flipped over and its underbelly is showing. And that's why it has to get itself flipped back over again. That is, it is in sense in the defense mechanism to keep him righted. So he's, again, there's no reason for that tail to become something else. It has a function that it doesn't want to get rid of, right? It doesn't want to get rid of the ability to flip itself back over.
I agree.
How does any of this make sense?
It makes perfect sense. You got to pay attention, and you refuse to, okay? I think you intentionally refuse to. I think you're taking your cues from some of these creationists that are also annoying and arrogant and think they know better than all the scientists out there, when you'd be better served actually listening to what all the scientists say in biology books versus what the Hawaiian shirt guy says. Yeah. And you can ask a lot of people that used to believe things from the Hawaiian shirt guy who no longer do anymore, and maybe listen to them and why they don't believe his nonsense anymore.
I think he already answered the question. I think he's already, at the end he says, then explain this to me. But he just explained it. He just doesn't accept any of it.
It's disingenuous.
Yeah. He has the explanation. He's just not willing to take it because he has a presupposition that something else is true. So, yeah, he's never going to get anywhere with this. Like,
genuinely, I'm asking you, if you have any kind of sense in your brain, ask yourself.
There it is.
How is it that the one animal that we have fossils of going back allegedly 400 million years, it survived allegedly 5 mass extinction events. It's prey to every kind of animal that can get even close to the water. How has it not evolved?
Why should it?
Yeah.
That's the question. It seems to be doing fine. We've repeated over and over. It seems to be doing fine. It seems to do very well at what it does. It seems to have survived for very long. It seems to brush off mass extinction events. Why?
Those are the reasons.
Why would it want to change? Why? What? Because you want a superhero horseshoe crab that, it's got a spear for a tail and, again, lasers out its eyeballs and stuff.
He literally said, "These are the answers right here. These are the answers. Now give me the answer." Like it's so stupid. It's not even like he's trying to make an argument because of his smug attitude. It's like he's not even actually trying to make this argument. He's just trying to sarcastically say these things like, "You should just believe what I do because you're silly for not believing it." Because of his attitude towards doing this.
And ultimately, because you don't understand doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't understand a lot of things.
That's called incredulity.
Yeah. Nobody understands everything. Every expert goes to an expert for something else. Everybody hires different professionals to do different things. You hire a mechanic, a plumber, a carpenter for a reason. So, very bad.
It's like a Kent Hovind wannabe.
You're terrible. Ryan, you're terrible. Your arguments are terrible. Your attitude is terrible. Your unwillingness to listen is detrimental. And and it's BS.
Yes.
Right? It's BS.
How has it not evolved?
It did.
Well, it has evolved, and it hasn't evolved a lot for the reasons we've repeated in this video. It's very successful being a horseshoe crab. And I checked my notes here. Yes, there are over 20,000 species of worms. Okay? Worms are very, very successful. Worms do not have spears on their tails. Worms are not out attacking people, right, and eating them. Worms do not have shells or claws or teeth or any of those things. 20,000 times at least they have speciated. They're almost everywhere all over the globe.
Yeah.
Worms. Right, Ryan? You want to use horseshoe crabs, go back to your worms. And you want to talk about old fossils. I think worms are one of the oldest fossils they find.
It's a dumbass
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, gang.
So
It doesn't matter. If it doesn't make sense, you should try to learn it. And I also suggested to Ryan, first of all, instead of engaging with people that don't know what they're talking about, like the Hawaiian shirt guy, instead of ordering books from the Hawaiian shirt guy and giving that con artist money, maybe you should have bought a biology book. Maybe you could go take a class. Maybe you could take advantage of free online courses. If you don't know, folks, look around. There are a lot. Now, it might not be this year's course. It might be last year's or something. But there are college courses posted online for free and on evolution and many other topics for free. This is a great advantage of free education that you can get. You could go to some biologist and ask them questions. Instead, it's the Hawaiian shirt guy and engaging with people, and some of the people he was talking to might have been given, partial good answers. But again, he wants, like many do, he wants it in 140 characters or less, right? He wants all of biology in 2 sentences, something you can post in a tweet or whatever. That's what he wants.
Well, it's funny because, like, it's worse than that, because this is the wrong question. The information that answers this question is available to him if he wants it. He does not want it. He wants to make believe. He wants to live in his make believe world and continue doing that. And that's cool, whatever. But it's not that the information isn't there. And so what? Let's throw evolution out. You're right. Horseshoe crabs have never done a thing, and evolution isn't real. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Why should we believe any of the bullshit that you believe? Because there's no reason for it. So until we answer that question, it doesn't matter about whether evolution is true or not. I mean, it's a theory for a reason. It's supported. It's been corroborated. It's been observed. Forget it. But it doesn't matter.
It's a boogie. It's a boogeyman for some reason that they just won't let go. And I see Jess is here. Hello, Jess. Good to see you. It's just a ridiculous boogeyman. And if you notice, they always like to say evolutionists instead of biologists, because maybe it sounds silly when you say all the biologists don't know what they're talking about.
I don't like to say evolutionary biologist myself a lot, so I'll accept evolutionist. I mean, they're the only ones that use that term, but I've seen it used before like that, and I think it's just easier to say. So I don't give them too much shit about that.
Well, it is the basis of all of modern biology. Aaron Ra made a video about it too. If you want to go check that out, of course, Aaron makes great content. It is the basis of all of modern biology. It's behind genetics. They use evolutionary models to make cures and medicine. So it's well established, very well established.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Again, we don't care.
You're a dumbass.
And it's so infuriating when you try to engage with somebody like this. You try to be sincere. I try to give concise answers, because I know he's not going to read anything that's more than a couple sentences, right? The attention span's going to be gone. Hey, Mike's in here. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Are you there?
Hello,
Mike.
Yeah, I'm here. Am I echoing?
No, you sound all right.
Okay, we'll leave it without headphones. Anyway, how close are you to the end?
just about wrapping up the last piece here.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that? And
Okay.
I just got a couple of comments.
All right.
If somebody can explain this to me, I would be really grateful.
Liar.
We don't think so. I think he's completely disingenuous. And I think he's taking cues from creationists that are disingenuous and do it to intentionally mislead people. And
That wasn't false. It was a lie.
and it's rude to insult all the scientists that do a lot of hard work out there to figure out so many things for the world and for medicine and technology and all that. I always find it very rude that they can just badmouth basically all the scientists, right?
Yeah.
It's just, come on.
Because this is the one that I found that you go has the time span, the means, and the motive to go through that macroevolutionary process and change into anything. Fish, it could be half fish, it could be half lizard.
All right, see, here we go.
You're a dumbass.
he wants a mermaid or something, right? Or the infamous crocoduck, right? Where are the crocoducks? Okay. And again, I think he's being just disingenuous. He's using the same
means
old
and the motive, though, Dave.
Yeah, means and motive to change into a crocoduck. Okay. No. This has gone from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be turned its tail into an attacker kind of weapon thing and started killing things.
Why? It has a food source, obviously a plentiful food source, and it can eat almost anything, even dead stuff, which is an advantage.
And it still might do what he said.
Yeah, it's an omnivore. It eats plants and animals. It literally can eat whatever is around. It doesn't need to go hunting something else. There's no pressure there to go hunt something else. That's a pressure that you're looking for when there isn't one, because it has plenty of food. And even though it's got that big shell, its body parts aren't really that big, right? So it's not a large animal that it has to eat a lot. So that's an advantage too, when you can just eat a little bit. That's one of the things the larger animals lose right away when there's a loss of food source, because they need a lot of food. This thing doesn't need as much food. Again, great evolutionary pressure that was selected for and gave it great survivability.
Well, like, look at the housefly, for example. It lands on you and all it can do is suck. I mean, they have those compound eyes. Why didn't those compound eyes evolve into laser eyes so they could kill you and cut you to ribbons, right? Like, why didn't that happen? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen?
It's a stupid question.
And why are there so many flies?
Yeah, why are there so many flies? I mean,
no shortage of flies.
Eyes, right? Yeah, they could have developed laser eyes, and they could have developed slicing. Like their limbs, they could have had little fucking rotor blades on them and sliced you up and sucked all your. I mean, this guy is so fucking ignorant.
Yeah.
That I don't even know where to begin with him.
There's X-Men in there. When I covered that Ahmed that was on with Rebecca, and that's basically what he was asking for was, where's the X-Men type stuff or whatever was one. Hey Beck, how you doing? Good to see you. There is that, with the fruit flies too, where they were hitting them with the radiation, and everything. And they said, how come, none of the fruit flies turned into Godzilla or something because of the radiation? And it's like, first of all, that's not what they were doing. And second of all, that's not what happens.
Because you're stupid. You don't understand basic words. That's the problem.
And the ones that aren't stupid, listen. You're listening to stupid people. Okay. Yeah. These people are con artists. Okay.
Yeah.
They do not do any real science.
It's like flat Earth. It's getting there.
Yeah, none of the garbage the creationists say has ever gotten into any textbooks or anything else. And yes, they'll pull a few aside, like somebody that worked on some kind of technology somewhere, but it had nothing whatsoever to do with biology or evolution. So even if you had a creationist that was successful in their field making some product, it has nothing to do with what they have to say about evolution. Go to the biologists. Listen to the biologists. If you were going to ask anybody about any other question, about any other subject, wouldn't you go to the person that's in that field and ask them?
My advice is go lay down.
Some folks should just leave it enough alone. Indeed,
You're just dumb.
you're
sorry.
done.
Yeah.
Nope. Just kind of swims on the bottom of the ocean floor and eats dead animal bodies or whatever. It's like a scavenger animal.
Well suited for survival. Again, it can just munch away all day long.
It's almost like if there was an extinction event and food all over the bottom of the sea because everything died. It's almost like a horseshoe crab would do really well in that situation, wouldn't
Plenty
it?
of food.
And probably reproduce a whole fucking lot. Yeah.
He really doesn't like these horseshoe crabs.
No.
I mean,
He said they sucked.
yeah, and God designed them according to his mind, right? So, I mean, like, he's kind of pissing on God's creation here.
That
But
went
he really has it in for him. I mean, he's been blasting him since the start.
That's why I asked Otangelo earlier when he was in the chat. I said, do you agree with God's creation sucks? So yeah, even for a young earth creationist that thinks everything was just made recently, you know, he sure badmouths this poor horseshoe crab.
The horseshoe crab sucks. That's his argument.
It sucks, and it's this little crab thing with its little arms or
Go
whatever he said. Yeah, and it's like, what a stupid thing, you know? And it's like,
okay.
But you're defeating your argument every time you say it's been around for 500 million years and survived 5 mass extinction events, and you haven't given any reason why that animal would want to change at all.
My kid could answer this question. My 5-year-old could answer this question.
And the crocoduck, I mean, when you bring up crocoduck, I mean, that's mythology, okay? Nothing in evolution says half one animal, half another. That is only in mythology, okay? Nothing in evolution says you're going to have half of a reptile and half of a bird, or half of a horseshoe crab and half of a fish, or whatever he's asking for. It's crocoduck. And please look up why the Crocoduck Award is given out by Potholer. Okay? It's the dumbest of the dumb. That's what the award is. All right? It's not a prestigious thing to get the Crocoduck Award.
It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, but I need somebody to explain this to me.
No, you don't.
So I'm calling this the Why Hasn't the Horseshoe Crab Evolved Challenge? Because the horseshoe crab has been around for 400 million years, longer than the dinosaurs, but hasn't evolved.
Do you
We
even
won.
listen to yourself when you talk?
We won. What do we get? What's our prize?
Yeah, so if you didn't see, let me hit it one more time there.
I need somebody to explain this to me. So I'm calling this the Why Hasn't the Horseshoe Crab Evolved Challenge? Because the horseshoe crab has been around for 400 million years, longer than the dinosaurs, but hasn't evolved.
Do you even listen to yourself when you talk?
That's my final word on what Ryan says. Is do you even listen to yourself when you talk? Right?
Yeah.
It seems like he does not. I don't think he has notes or a script or anything, and I don't think he, pays attention that he's saying contradictory things, and he isn't even reading everything that he puts up in those little slides. So like Joe said, he's looking. He knows how to Google and pull stuff up, but he's not reading all of it, or he's intentionally, what we think, picking through it, which is what creationists do. And it's very annoying when you have a slide on the screen answering your question and you won't even read your own slide.
How many subs does this guy got?
I think about 100 or something.
Oh,
He had like 70, and I think when he got on with me, he picked up another 40 or something.
Yeah, Mike gave him a bunch of subs. It's all Mike's fault.
I'm a
Yeah.
good man. I like the Christians. I like to help them out.
I know. Mike did have was 2 conversations now.
2 conversations.
Yeah, you had the second one. Yeah, okay.
And he's fairly easy to agree with me. He hasn't come up with. I mean, he didn't come up with any defeaters, as he put it, even though he thought he did a couple times. But
I agreed with him for 3/4 of the video.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he was right about most of the things he said. He didn't ever. He made the claim at the beginning and the end, but all through the middle, he explained the answer to his question and gave the correct.
Oh yeah.
But then he just ignored all those and was like, "No, I don't think so."
The cheap overlays, Beck, are because we were openly mocking him.
Yeah, when he says, "I want somebody to explain this to me," I get really depressed, because when I think about what it would take for me to explain it to him, and for how long he would have to sit there and shut the fuck up and listen, but while I explained it, I get really sad.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
Because he has no idea what a genome is and what happens to a genome. And then when you look at the horseshoe crab, we know a few things that happened to that genome. It had 3 complete duplication events. It has 2 billion base pairs. It doesn't need all those. It needs far less. There's just, for every, in this living fossil business, if we looked at all the insects, all the arthropods, we would find tons of things, fossils that look the same as things we have today. And that doesn't surprise me a bit, because of how arthropods work, right? They're a little bit different than us as far as diversification. They get locked into a pattern. They have an exoskeleton. There's certain ways that they perform. There's that. The other thing, horseshoe crabs produce between 20 and 80,000 eggs a year, right? It doesn't matter how many, if 90% of those or 99% of them get picked off, they're still going to be doing a hell of a lot better than your average Christian. Just 6 to 8 kids, right? So there's that. And then there's population size that you have to look at. There's the ecological niche that the horseshoe crab occupies, which is a very stable niche that's just basically offshore in the ocean, and that doesn't change a hell of a lot, and it doesn't get hit so bad with most ecological disasters. But the thing is, if you look at all the insects, you're going to find he could find 100, 1,000 examples where you could say somebody's going to have to explain this to me. And then I get even more depressed, because now I have to explain it to you 1,000 times.
Beck figured out what the joke was on Ryan there, and you can check out the beginning, and it explains it.
Oh yeah. He did. Ryan didn't do that to himself, or did he? Well, he kind of put his foot.
He deserved it.
It's the classic Futurama clip where we don't want to learn evolution, and we don't want kids to know it either. And Professor Farnsworth tells them, "Get back on your turnip trucks." So it was a bit of a turnip joke, and then he kind of went full Hawaiian shirt guy. So I put the Hawaiian shirt one over on him, because I don't like to say his name whenever possible. So
Sal Cordova has an idea about fitness. He thinks fitness is supposed to be some sort of engineering marvel that organisms are going to develop so that they get fitter and fitter, and get better and better at what they do, which is not how evolution works at all. That's the first thing you have to just wipe out of your mind, that there's a direction. There's a good I famously said to Sal Cordova, he went around and made fun of me, but he was actually making fun of his own ignorance, when I said that it may well be that the human species thrives more if we get dumber. if we start to dissolve our brains. We may end up with a bigger population in the future than we have now. I mean, as we know, the smarter the person is, the longer they'll sit around and decide that Idiocracy. You've seen the movie, right?
Right.
I mean, there's
Well,
that.
all the
There's
all
no
the apolo-
direction.
yeah, all the apologists use that bigger, faster, stronger. Hovind uses it, Ham uses it, Frank Turek uses it. They all use it. That evolution is all about getting bigger, faster, stronger. It's the linear. And that it for a lot of them that use the argument too, like he's been using. Why doesn't it decide to do something? And it's like they don't decide to do something. It works out that way.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, a bottleneck that reduces the population to a very small size so that there are new variations could well be more adaptive than if the thing actually thrived and produced a large population that didn't change and didn't find that right combination when the environment changed. I mean, that could happen. There's no rules here about what's going to happen. And another thing, form is not equal to genome.
stasis is expected.
Huh?
Stasis is expected in evolution.
Oh yeah, they call them they call them stabilimorphs. The ones it's kind of a nice term. It's better than living fossil. But if you were to try to breed a horseshoe crab today with a horseshoe crab from 200 million years ago, their genomes wouldn't work together. They wouldn't be able to produce viable offspring. They wouldn't be able to do it probably 3 million years ago because of the amount of mutations that happened to the genome. And now when you get a fossil, what you don't get is the DNA. So when they say it hasn't evolved, you're full of shit. It's been evolving the whole time, mutating the whole time. And
it doesn't stop. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, for every single genome in any extant species, there is a completely new story about what happened to that particular genome. The onion, 16 billion base pairs. Why?
Yeah.
One of the comments is somebody left him a detailed comment, and it said a lot of the things that you were saying in it. But again, he just, that's a fancy answer or something. It's like, again, he seems to be asking, but if you give him an answer, he just dismisses the answer. So he doesn't seem to actually be wanting the answer.
Yeah, that's the real problem.
The answers bounce off their skulls. Just boing, boing, Bible, boing. I don't know. What are we going to do?
I think it's more dishonest than that in most cases, because I think that this guy had to study those things to make those claims. He said a lot of true things that were facts about evolution in this video, and for him to know those things means he had to look it up.
He was reading
what the facts are, and
he was reading from a few sources. Like if I found it in a few spots. Yeah. And he also goes with Hovind, and I don't know. So he really doesn't understand that much about what's going on.
His presupposition is he's not like most presuppers, I don't think, because he doesn't realize that it's because of his presupposition.
Yeah.
He views this all through, well, that's just here's proof that it's not that, and that's all I need because it's a stupid idea anyway, because my book says something different. Like, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care what the answers are.
He's a bright guy.
Some apologists will remain civil, right? He gets like Hovind, and like I said, he made that sexist comment. He was using the Hovind line of, go back and play your video games like everybody plays video games. Or even if you do, that you don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't even really matter.
Yeah. I think he's a dumbass, and it was a mistake to buy a camera.
I don't know. He's bright enough to understand these things. He understands other things. I've talked to him a little bit backstage, and he understands technical things, and so he's bright enough to understand it. But he has no reason. It's kind of like me with the Bible. Like when biblical scholars start talking about the nuances of the Bible, it bounces off my head because I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
right.
I don't care.
And that's how he feels about evolution, right? He's never going to look into it.
Somebody just told me you need to read such and such in the Bible, and it's like I already have. Reading it again is not going to change my mind.
He would rather make believe than take an honest look at the world around him.
I just got a little booklet in the mail today called Days of Praise from Answers in Genesis. And that's
Oh,
about
boy.
100 pages where they get a little biblical verse and then they try to explain what the deepity is behind it. And there were a couple I'm like, okay, what are you going to do with this? And because some of them were pretty God being an asshole kind of things, you know. So
But before we wrap things up, I just wanted to I got one other little thing here.
I think
Yeah, like I said, he's told somebody you debate like a female. You just lonely, bro. It's okay. That's a response. And mind you, this is supposed to be the Christian. You know?
Ryan said that?
Yeah.
You debate like a female? What the
Yeah.
fuck?
And in
Thanks
my
for being a
little
misogynist piece of shit.
yeah. In my little thing, I responded. I said, the horseshoe crab has speciated at least 4 times. Nothing more macro than a new species. And he said, LOL. Oh, gosh, I detest that, really.
I do.
Still a horseshoe crab. What you're describing is microevolution. You can't even tell the difference between them. They still look so similar. Good try, though. It
They're
doesn't
the
matter
same.
what it looks like. Like Mike said, the genetics can be completely different. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
They're the same.
So I asked, what is, again, I'm not saying anything other than what I'm reading. I said, what is more macro than a new species? And you can check the comments section on his video for the links in the description for the video. It's in below, so you can go read the comments yourself. He says he wants a new and distinct form. Theropod dinosaurs turned into birds. That's macroevolution. Horseshoe crabs turning into different kinds of horseshoe crabs that are essentially indistinguishable, because they are indistinguishable, is microevolution. I said a new species is a new and distinct form, hence the term new species, differentiating it from another species. I said there's nothing past a new species for a species to become anything but a new species. Species evolve into new species. There is nothing more macro than a new species. I don't think you know or understand scientific terminology. If you ask anyone that knows any biology the question, what can a species become? The answer is a new species.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the taxonomic system has 8 levels. From lowest to highest, they are species: genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, domain. Species is the end of the line. That's the term. It's species. There are no other past species. And again, it's like he said earlier, isn't that convenient? His response was, ugh, this is such a weak argument. So are you saying that a dinosaur turning into a bird and a horseshoe crab turning into another type of horseshoe crab are comparable? Yes, absolutely. It's the same thing. It's a dinosaur speciating.
They're not
and
going to
horseshoe
give birth
crab
to
speciating is the
buddy.
same thing. Yeah.
Your obsession with birds isn't going to come true, okay?
Seriously? If so, why did the dinosaur have the need to change into a bird, but the horseshoe crab didn't have the pressure to change its form at all?
Environment.
Like we said before, there's no reason for the horseshoe to change. The horseshoe crab is very good at being a horseshoe crab, just like worms are very good at being worms, and flies are very good at being flies, and different species that have been around for a long time, like sharks and reptiles and the crocodile species, the turtles, all these. Hovind was just talking about turtles the other day. The turtles have been around forever too. They still look like turtles because they do pretty good at being turtles. And if you want to check it out, it's called Save Me Apologetics, and you can check out his videos. Like I say, he's got the video.
Is there a link somewhere?
The link for this video that we did is in the description, so you can find
I've
us.
got that anyway. Okay.
Yeah, you can find it from there.
Yeah.
So.
Why do mammals still have boobs?
And
glad
finally,
they do.
Somebody's got to explain that to me.
and finally, one other thing is he's also anti modern medicine, and I don't want to use any of the words that would get this
he is.
bounced or anything. Okay, but when there was a certain major illness going on earlier, and certain people didn't want to do the things they needed to do, and coughed on other people and thought it was Jesus-like, it ain't. All right. I think that's disgusting. I think if you read anything about Jesus, you should read the parts where he said you should care for people. You should not, nowhere did he say cough on people and get them sick. I find that totally reprehensible. And I don't care what your excuse is. You should follow the advice given by the professionals when something as bad as that was ravaging the world's population. Shame on you.
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to get that video that I did.
You're telling me the guy with the extreme views also has some conspiracy theory nonsense too. Is that what you're saying?
Usually it runs down the line. Yeah, they're not gonna get their medications. They're gonna deny climate change. I'm sure, like I said, there was some sexism there. There's probably some LGBTQ also. It seems to always be the same folks. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
And with that, I think we'll wrap it up. Thanks, Joe, for joining me. Thanks for joining me, Mike. And Ryan, we think you're a terrible apologist. We think you don't know any science. We think you're being disingenuous. And anybody watching your stuff should absolutely at least read the slides that he put up that he didn't read and look it up yourself from a biology source, not from a creationist source. Okay, there's a reason that there's good sources out there that are from university employed people that write textbooks, people who actually know what they're talking about and aren't out to sell you some DVDs or whatever else they're trying to con you out of. Okay. Anything else? Final words, Joe? Anything to say to Ryan?
Yeah. Try harder, Ryan. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
All right. Everybody say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later.
Back to the world. Back to the world.